Welcome to Words of Wisdom from Kick-Ass Women.
Stories and advice about moving forward, punching through that glass ceiling, pushing harder, and blazing trails from women we really admire.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Brohan.
And I am Mary Olivieri, and we're ready to have another great conversation with another really kick-ass woman.
Yeah, today is going to be super interesting. And I'm going to start by telling everybody that one of the best compliments I ever got in my entire life was when somebody told me I was not afraid of the woo-woo.
Oh.
And I thought, damn straight, I'm not afraid of the woo-woo.
I think you might need to define the woo-woo for some of us who find that phrase a little disconcerting.
To me, it means a belief and a connection to things you can't necessarily see. Could be spirit guides, could be guardian angels, could be animals. It's all that stuff in the universe that you can't really see, but you know it's there giving you messages and trying to help you out.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
So anyway, Mary, now I get to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
Can you think of any women, current or historical, that you think kind of connect themselves to the woo-woo?
Okay. Well, yeah, I can actually, like people who are self-proclaimed spiritually motivated folks, right? If I recall, Marilyn Monroe was definitely into that. Oddly, Madame Curie and Maya Angelou is another one, very much into the spiritual. I'm not speaking for them. I'm just speaking from my own opinion.
Well, I do like the whole Maya Angelou connection because I think it has some relevance to our guest today. And our guest today is Victoria Martin. And she's going to blow your mind. So she is an accomplished astrologer, currently working with Astrocast. But that's not all. She is a psychic. She is a palmist. She is a tarot card reader. And she's a
psychometrist.
A psychometrist, what she said. So anyway, she has had just an amazing, fascinating life. Over the years, she has, like I said, she's a fine artist. She has also worked for Bloomberg News, writing their horoscope column. And she has all kinds of other fascinating elements to her. So welcome, Victoria.
Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you for being here.
And I hear you do over 1,000 readings a year. Is that right?
Yeah, I work in corporate events or private events.
I see. All right.
I just go where they send me.
Okay.
And
children go where I send you.
You got a great voice.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Like how I've been lately binge watching psychic shows.
Oh.
No lie. I don't know how
Okay.
I got onto it. There's this seatbelt psychic guy that I watch. How did you know that you had the gift?
Oh, well, in high school, a friend of mine became what's called a trance medium. He went to the Philippines to find out about this. This back in the 70s. They were doing psychic surgery. Do you remember that? And they had movies of these guys that put their hand in to a person's abdomen and pull out all this junk, and then it would close up. I mean, so he apprenticed to them, and he came back, and we just thought he was fun to watch, like a TV show, because all these lights would come out of his head and stuff. So then I decided I needed something more stable, so I was studying the I Ching, which is the best oracle ever created. And so I was studying that and other in the group tarot cards. And I started doing astrology. And then when I got to school, the Art Institute for college, I was doing horoscopes. It was kind of like my job. I was doing
A little side hustle there.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I just learned by doing horoscopes. And then I've just been doing them. That was, the 1970s. So you learn on your first 1,000 horoscopes. You got to do 1,000 before you know anything. And then I was tracking all these people. I've been blessed with hundreds of friends and just watch them. So that's how I came up with this idea of the 4 quarters of the year, which we were talking about earlier, is because I would watch my friends go through the year. And I noticed certain things.
Okay.
That should I just go through the quarters real quick?
Yeah,
now?
I'd love to hear
Okay.
about that.
Okay, well, your birthday, there's a lot of fuss over the birthday, but what I also noticed is the pre-birthday is a very strange time. People go through soul searching, they kind of fall apart a little bit. So I learned,
how long is the pre-birthday?
well, good question, Liz. 7 to 10 days, but some people have it for a whole month. Depends on how sensitive they are and how they're building up their life, because you do a review of your whole year pre-birthday.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. Is it for every birthday, do you think, or is it for
Yeah.
like milestone birthdays?
Big birthdays, right? I think it's for every birthday, and so you have to just chill, don't panic, just get through it.
So that's a piece of advice for
Yeah.
all our listeners out there as you're
Right.
gearing up to your next birthday. Don't freak out.
Yeah, just use that time to reinvent yourself and regroup and boost your immune system, and then your birthday comes, and then you start to feel better and better in increments after the birthday. So then after your birthday, oh well, cavalier attitude. You can do anything, and you have 3 months where pretty much untouchable. And then after 3 months, the first quarter's over, that you can sometimes milk it out a little bit.
so what's the best use of that first 3 months?
Good question, Liz. But I think you just start new things, join new groups, cultivate interests. It's outreach, to use the title of your show, which I'm so used to FFC regulations. I don't know that I would say that word exactly.
You
but
can say
Yeah.
ass.
I can say it.
You could even swear if you wanted to.
Really?
I see swearing in your future, Victoria.
Your psychic seatbelt. Well, anyway, so it's that kind of.
It's your time to be kick-ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. The first quarter. So you take your birthday, you add 3 months. That is a great time. But then you start creeping towards your half birthday. Now, can you guess what would the half birthday be like? You already know a little bit.
Disappointment, like, oh, I didn't achieve what I thought I would.
Well, interesting.
Mhm.
Okay, you're pretty close.
Okay.
Biologically, it's just the down. I've noticed it that people just crash. They don't like the weather or their half birthday. They don't like the
Interesting.
holidays. They don't like, but you do need people born on your half birthday to kind of fill in, because they're going to totally get what you just don't get at all. The half birthday.
Oh.
Yeah.
So look for people that were born 6 months after you.
Exactly.
My husband was born 6 months
Perfect.
after me.
That's absolutely perfect.
It'll
you
be
know?
his job.
Exactly.
Make
To
it
lift you up.
Yeah.
In India,
Mm-hmm.
they do all their matchmaking with astrology. And what they do is they get people same caste, same type of family, that is, opposite birthdays. And they have a very high success rate.
Interesting.
It's
Okay,
the-
I got
it's
to find
the-
somebody born in
Wow.
February.
It's the
All
right.
absolute
All right, I'll help
best.
you.
It's the absolute best is you need people. Now, they're going to be really different from you, but they can, give you good advice and fill in your gaps and all that kind of stuff. But they have birthday. People just don't like it.
Well,
Usually.
what happens as you enter the third quarter?
Yeah.
We have an uptick?
Right. Yeah, very good question. So the third quarter is, so that's 9 months after your birthday, is usually a time of great strength. And I advise people to apply for grants or things that you need luck for, an important show or a recital or something that's really important. Because now think of the human gestation period, 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
The baby is born. You have something to show from what you've done. If you did it all correctly, that is, if you pushed with the on your. I know it's just so programmed. I know you're just okay. So you push on your first quarter. You get your allies to help you. You ask for help on your half birthday, because most people are clueless on their half birthday. You get your allies to help you. So if you did all that right, by the time your third quarter comes around, you're going to show something. You've got something important. And so the thing is, brag about yourself. Tell everyone what you've been doing. That's harder for females than males, I think.
No kidding.
So women especially, I have to coax them. Just talk about, get your elevator speech ready. Just get that, what have you done? What are you good at? What your whole deal?
Sometimes that just starts with self-talk too.
Yes.
Tell yourself that and then go tell the world.
Brilliant.
And I would say, I'm going to add to this just for a lot of the professional women listening
Yeah.
right now. it is difficult sometimes to toot your own horn.
Mhm.
What I've found is a way in through first tooting the horn of whoever I'm talking to.
Brilliant.
Right. So, and people love to hear how you feel about them when it's positive. And so often I will go in and say, wow, you've really accomplished a lot. And, and I'll talk about that for a little while in a social situation. And I'm excited too, because I just did this. So that's just a little tip to get at if you have your allies, to do it that way. Just a thought.
Yeah, I think that's a very gracious way to do that. But I mean, really, when you think about it, if you don't tell people what you've been doing,
Right.
how are they going to know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, that's what social media is for.
Right,
yeah.
Or
of
My
course.
Perfect Life.
Oh, yeah, I'm not on social
So,
media.
Victoria, I wanted to ask you about psychometry. And
Oh, yeah.
first of all, I think we ought to define that
Yeah,
because you told me what it was. It's
Right.
when you hold an object and the object allows you to see images.
correct.
Right?
This is how
Okay.
I got my start when I was 17. A friend of mine took me to the Illinois Psychic Institute, and I met Reverend George Gibbs, who looked like a black Buddha. He had a big head. He'd been in vaudeville. He turned into a gospel minister. Then he became a psychic, and he took one look at me and said, "You're going to be a professional psychic." I said, "No way. I'm going to be an artist. I'm in art school." And then he said, "Here." And he gave me some object. It has to be somebody else's object. You can't really pick up from your own object.
Got it.
So
Okay.
he would take me to the gospel churches on 63rd Street, which were legendary,
Mm-hmm.
south side of Chicago. And I would do what's called prophecy, which you go in there and you tell people, I want to say God bless you. And they stand up and then you hold an object of theirs and I would get images, which isn't too far because I'm a visual artist. So that will work for visual artists.
So when you were doing that, did you have messages to deliver as a result of that? Or were you just saying, I'm seeing, a 60-year-old
Yeah, how does it
professional
work?
woman who's really tired?
I guess I did. I guess I just had that improv thing
Mhm.
that I would just come up with something and they were happy.
Okay.
It was some kind of, I imagine, because like in any kind of storyline, you introduce the characters, then there's the conflict,
Mhm.
then there's the resolution.
Now, is the item given to you from the person
Yes.
who owns it? So at least you
Exactly.
know who you're dealing with, correct?
Yes.
So if I handed you my ring,
Right.
you could do something with this if I can get it off?
I guess I haven't done psychometry since
In a really long
that
time. I
was
know
a
I'm
really-
putting you on the spot. I
really
want to
long time.
quiz you, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good way to start. Astrology is so much better because you have timing.
okay. So I'm putting this back on in
Oh,
case
okay.
we get to
but
do a
then
reading.
let's go back to astronomy too, because one of the things I'm really curious about is you said you do about 1,000 readings a year.
Yeah.
How often do people come back to you and go, oh my gosh, you nailed it?
Oh, well, usually right there at the spot, they'll tell me because I'll be at an event, or I do have some private clients also. And keep in mind, I'm a skeptic. I just keep thinking this can't work. I had a job for 20 years in Greektown where I would go every Thursday to the Parthenon, and that's how your work associate. That's
How
actually
we
how
found
know each
you?
other. Yeah. So
Awesome.
So here, there's this tradition of people looking at what's left in the coffee cup.
Oh yes, I've heard
Oh,
about
God, I
Turkish
love
that.
that.
coffee.
Yeah.
So I would look at the cup and I would do a little drawing, black and white. Then I would take a red pen and I would write what it meant. And then I would hand this to the person. And they would say, "Is there a microphone under this table? How did you know all this?" I would say, "I don't know. I think."
But here you go.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So it was so I was there 20 years.
Wow.
And I learned to do palm reading there also. And then I went on to do, I have these palm reading things I do where I write it all out. Because again, I'm a skeptic. So I'm going to write it down and then give it to you. And then,
Let us confirm
Yeah,
it.
right.
All right.
right.
I have to go back because I am such a process-oriented human being.
Good. Yeah.
We didn't go to Q4 of year 4.
Oh, we never made it to
We never
Q4.
made it to Q4.
Oh.
All right.
Q4.
So
Thank you.
You're welcome, because that would drive me crazy if I were listening.
Well, that's the presentation. That's the giving birth to the baby. So then that's, in a way, that's one of the most important turning points of the year. And then you start to gather things back together. And then pretty soon it'll be the pre-birthday, which we
Gotcha.
talked about.
Yeah, so we're
that
re-entry.
completes the
Okay.
cycle.
All
So
right.
the thing about the fourth quarter is the self-promotion and just having a clear picture. And I like what you said about saying something good about the listener first. Have a clear picture of what have you done all year? What would this person be interested in what you've done?
Mhm.
And it can be a very lucky time that will go by unnoticed.
It's interesting because I didn't realize that that was actually a thing. And I had made a decision about 10 days before my last birthday that this year I was going to reach out to whoever crossed my mind.
Oh,
Whoever crossed my mind. And if somebody randomly appeared, I would grab my phone, and I'm continuing to do that. And so it's just interesting to hear that
Yeah.
that's actually something that happens for most people.
I think that counts as the woo-woo.
Okay, I guess
I
it's
think those people are given to you on purpose.
that they show up in my mind
Yes,
on
on
purpose.
purpose.
But I just reach out and tell them I'm thinking about them
Great.
and that I hope that they're well. So,
I'm not skeptical. I love all this stuff.
so when you say you're skeptical, Victoria, but you do it, right?
I do it as an experiment, you know. And,
okay.
and it's like, no, I've at this point in terms of palmistry, I started that in Greektown. I've done 40,000 palm readings.
Wow.
That's
Is what I
incredible.
calculate because I was the only person in the city who was willing to sketch out the lines, write out what it meant.
I see.
And I could do that pretty fast, you know.
Well, with your art background,
my art
right?
background,
Oh, that's
yeah.
a nice marriage of skills.
So the palmistry, and so that really surprises me. Except I knew a primatologist, and he said, you know, apes have different palms. They have different lines from each other. He said, I bet you could write a book on ape palmistry. I said, I don't think that's going to
I
happen.
wonder how the apes would feel. You
Right.
know?
They'd
If they
be-
found out their lifeline was short, that would kind of blow
or
for
they
them,
might
I
be
imagine.
thrilled.
Well,
you know?
Well, interesting you say now, a short lifeline does not mean a short life.
Really?
It means a short attention span. So when I see a
Oh.
short, so that's where the gypsies kind of get it wrong. So, so the short lifeline, I see that and I tell people, I bet you've been to a storefront, you know, fortune teller, and they said, you know, write your will. You know, I said, really, it just means you got to get these short-term projects because you're going to get bored.
Okay.
And they say, yeah, that's really true. You know.
Have you ever had yourself read? Have you gone to a psychic for you?
Well, I have friends. I have a lot of friends, and I belong to 15 communities, and
I
among
see.
that are maybe there's 5 different communities: astrologers, spiritual
Mm-hmm.
oriented people, not spiritualists. Those are channeling dead people. I don't do that,
Mm-hmm.
but people, yeah. So I mean, every once in a while, you'll get another astrologer will look at your horoscope, or you know, they do that at the Theosophical Society. The guy who runs the group there,
Okay.
he'll have everyone's horoscopes pulled up, and he's
Just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
'cause-
once knew a guy who would predict what year you were going to pass away. I know, isn't that creepy?
Not supposed to do that. Actually,
that is super creepy.
the American Federation of Astrologers, in their bylaws, forbid any members to do that, which I think is a good.
I like
That's
that rule.
interesting.
It's a good rule because how in the no?
Well, he told my friend, and then she did not.
Oh no! See,
Yeah, she's way past
See?
it. So, yeah.
yeah,
She made it.
right,
Yay.
yeah.
I took my mother to a psychic. She'd always wanted to go.
How
She
cute.
is Catholic.
Oh,
And so she very much she really wanted to do it, but then couldn't because of her faith.
how funny!
And finally, I was like, let's just go. And this was just this past Christmas for her birthday. She's 91 years old.
God bless her.
I thought it was hilarious because the poor woman didn't want to say much about her. Like, she's not going to say you're going to live a long life. She's already 91.
my
Like, that's
God.
obvious. It was really funny. It seemed that the psychic had a great deal of discomfort doing my mom's reading. It was really funny. And I was like, is it because she's 91? I mean, do you see all different ages of people when you're doing your readings?
Yeah, now keep in mind, I'm working at special events. These are mostly young professionals.
Mhm.
We used to call them yuppies. I don't know what they call them now. Millennials.
Millennials,
And so they're
Gen
young.
X,
Yeah.
Gen Z.
Yeah, so they're.
I don't think any of them like labels, though.
Oh,
so.
okay.
No,
Never
just
mind.
saying.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sorry, listener.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it's what did you ask me?
You said you usually have young professionals
Right.
at
Yeah,
these
yeah.
events. I had
What would
asked
I-
if you have
yeah,
age
all
ranges.
ages.
Yeah.
All ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, to some, yeah. I think it's mostly young people, but I'd find something, see, because they're picking a tarot card. You know, the tarot cards is actually part of that's called the Tree of Life in Jewish mysticism.
Mhm.
And the 22 cards correspond to the 22 Hebrew letters. They could be Arab, they're 22 Arabic letters also. So the 22 is a root for the Semitic languages, and they each have a symbol. They originally were pictograms. So the tarot is another thing that totally baffles me.
Okay.
How this thing works. Okay. Somebody thinks of a topic, they pick a card, and I'll say the card, and I'll go, oh, well, this, whatever. And they just instantly bond with their cards.
Yes.
And I just think, what is that? It's synchronicity. You go back to Carl Jung, that he said synchronicity was happening all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like your thing with, if you think of somebody, you're going to call them.
Mm-hmm.
So how's that working for you?
Great, actually.
See?
I get some really lovely responses because sometimes it's people I haven't talked to in 15 years, but if they show up in my head, I reach out.
Wow.
And it's been really
Yeah.
nice. I feel like it's putting good vibes out into the world.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
Yeah. So this all kind of revolves around synchronicity.
I say.
Is the way, the divination.
That makes sense, right?
And the astrology, except there are things you can really tell from where in the year you are. And then the moon cycle is the same thing. And before we leave the topic of the sun, I recommend everyone tune into that. It's called the SDO, the Solar Dynamic Observatory. And you can see what is the sun doing. Right now, we're at there's a 12-year cycle. We are near the peak of solar activity. So that activates the geomagnetic field. So when you hear aurora borealis, that means we have an active geomagnetic field. And generally speaking, it's beautiful, but it's not that good.
Oh, no.
Because it can, people with pacemakers can be disabled. If you're on a jet plane trip, the pilots have to fly around the equator. They hate that because they want to jump over the pole. Because if you fly through it, I forget if it's like 10 or 20 X-rays if you fly over the pole during a geomagnetic storm.
Wow.
So this does affect people. And I think it's called the KP index. And so I track that. The next one is May 1st on your half birthday. There's a KP storm due. We just have one April 16th.
Will I be mad at the sun?
Who can be mad
Will my
at the
husband have to pull me out of
Yeah.
my sun funk?
Well, right. Well, normally our sun is a benevolent star. It's a green-yellow star. And it has very few storms. But every 12 years, we have active geomagnetic sphere, which started about a year ago, 2 years ago. And it corresponds with a high price of gold. So when you have a geomagnetic
That's
storm,
now, sure.
yeah, so we have that now. We have a high price of gold. And anyway, so that's just a fun thing. I go to the Adler Planetarium. I took my astronomy courses there, and I'll ask them.
Well, you are so educated on so many things. You are dropping facts down left and right. How was this just over years of saturation of knowledge, or because you went to the Art Institute, not
Correct.
an easy school to get into, good for you.
At the time, it was art. When I grew up at University of Chicago neighborhood,
Okay.
so everybody was such a smarty pants. Like they were all those people on NPR radio. That's my childhood. They just know everything, and they're so smart.
Yeah.
And so we had to be in the science fair, or just kill yourself.
I see.
know?
Okay. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right.
Right.
So you just kind of grow up in that. But for that group, I'm really not that smart. They're really
But I mean,
smart.
I would say that you've really studied your stuff. You're talking about things like I think a lot of people think, oh, they go see a psychic, they're going to read their cards or tell them their
And
fortune.
it's all just natural.
Yeah, and it's all, but there's a lot
Ability.
of science.
in the astrology and
Yeah.
the astronomy, yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't know what palmistry, if you call that a science, it's a correlation. You can't go and have your lines by plastic surgery changed and change your life. It's some in utero
see.
thing. It's
All
just
right,
some
I'll
kind
cancel that appointment.
yeah, but this whole number 4 is in the solar cycle so big. It's also in the moon cycle. Like ancient cultures use a lunar calendar. The Hebrews and the Hindus use what's called a soli-lunar. So it's linked. It's a lunar calendar, but then they add a leap month
I see.
to kind of keep it. Now, whereas the Arab calendar is 100% lunar. So they will have their New Year's, could be any time of year. Whereas the Hindus have their New Year usually in April, and the Jews usually in September, maybe October. So it's kind of recalibrated for that time of year. And same with the Chinese, I guess, now that I think of it. They have their, it's the end of January.
Interesting.
It's lunar, but it's solely lunar. It's linked because if it's just there's 13 lunations or lunar cycles a year. So that's 13 months. We have 12 months.
Wow.
So, but anyway, just to take 1 month, like it's there's a new moon at we're getting our new moons at the end of the month, and in June 25th is the new moon, and then there's going to be a full moon on July 10th. So this is exactly the same thing as the birthday. The new moon is like a birthday. That's when you start projects.
The new moon is when
the new moon is when you start projects.
Okay.
Then you have 1 week to kind of improvise, just like you have 3 months. That's 1 quarter. So at sunset on the first quarter, if you look up in the sky, there's the half moon, and that's your signal. Oh, what do I need to fix? What started on the new moon. What do I need to fix?
To our listeners, you see a half moon, think about what you need to fix.
Yeah,
right?
What do you need to fix? What do you need to keep? What do you want to let go? Because the full moon is the big deal.
Okay.
The full moon is the big event.
Right.
And so you want to have everything squared away for that full moon, because that's when everything happens. All the events happen, restaurants are packed, whatever. I often tell people, I don't know if having an event on a full moon is a good idea. There's so much competition. It's better to have it between the new moon and the full moon, not quite the full moon.
Interesting.
Because
Well, that's also some good advice for anybody who runs your own business, right?
Yeah.
I know we're winding down our time with Victoria. I could sit here, I don't know about you, Liz, and talk to you forever.
Plus, I think we're all going to have to go back and listen to this episode a few times because we've learned so much.
Yeah, seriously. Now, last closing question, if I may. What if there are people out there who feel like they may have a psychic ability? Like, how do they get started? Do you have any advice for them?
Good question. Well, number one is you could start writing down your dreams in the morning.
Okay.
Number two, which could also be number one, is avoid alcoholic beverages. Because I think people, that's one of the reasons they consume alcohol is because they don't want to be psychic.
And interesting because most of my friends really like to consume alcohol, which is probably why I don't know that many psychics. See, that's a correlation. But those are two interesting tips. Like if you feel like you're doing it, start writing down your dreams and avoid anything. Is it just alcohol or anything that might alter your
any kind of any barbiturate or even anything that's a downer. Now also, the whole thing you're doing, I'm fascinated with this thing of if someone pops in your mind and you call them.
Yeah.
You get an impulse at your first sighting or your first connection with someone or the first time you visit somewhere. Make a note of that and then you can find out later. And usually the first impulse or the first meeting or the first thought when you hear about something is pretty accurate.
Okay.
I would agree too.
Yep,
so we often talk about women's intuition. So for
absolutely.
all of the women out there, I would agree with that very strongly. In business especially, go with your gut initially. You're not usually wrong. And as a creative person and creative concepting, often the big idea is the first one that showed up, maybe with a lot more finessing. But so I like that idea of leaning into that first impulse or first feeling you get off of a person when you first meet them.
Tie it all back to the woo-woo because every time I've had a feeling like that or an intuition like that, I always wonder if it's part of a past life. So that'll be a whole other episode.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm fascinated by that too.
Well, we have to wrap up, Victoria, unfortunately. But we really appreciate you being here.
Such fun.
Yeah, it really was.
Well, anyway, the other thing I would like to do, in addition to thanking Victoria, and please let us know where people can contact you if they'd like to.
Classic Chicago Magazine. I write a monthly forecast.
Great.
Perfect.
Awesome. Do you still do personal readings for people?
Oh, yeah, I do. And you can find me through there, but it's pretty much the same thing I did for Bloomberg on Classic Chicago.
Okay.
And it tells you a lot, just the mass psychology in this case. I don't do zodiac signs. There are things that affect all of us, like we talked about the moon cycle.
Right.
And it's primarily based on new moon, full moon, that whole phenomenon.
So it's the Chicago
Classic Chicago magazine.
Classic Chicago
It's
magazine.
Online. It's
So-
online.
All
It's,
right. We'll find it.
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. So look
Absolutely.
for that, guys, if you'd like to connect with Victoria.
Thank you.
Exactly. And I would also like to thank our sponsors for the show today. We are proud that the Motion Agency is a sponsor. They are a very large, independent, women-owned advertising agency in Chicagoland. So when you get a chance, check out them as well.
And next time, you know what? We are going to have yet another great guest, but I'm not going to tell you who that is, honestly, because I'm not sure who it is.
Let me.
Yeah, let me
coming
in.
to me.
Yeah, oh, it's coming to me. It's not. Just watch us on YouTube or find us at kick-ass-women.com if you'd like to see the episodes, the previous episodes, or just watch us wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts. Thanks for joining us.